Hey guys, thank you for checking out our video. My name's Sean Elders and this is Pinnacle Combat Arts. Like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the bell so you can be notified every time we get a new video. Today we're going to be talking about patience in training. Let's get started. I would say one of the most important things when you are either a beginner student or you're an advanced student or you're an instructor is to have patience. Patience is the key element to learning the martial arts. When we think about a student, when they first come in, let's say you're a beginner student and you first come into the martial arts, you have this, you imagine yourself being able to do all these really cool and wonderful things. But it takes time to learn and to progress and to really dedicate yourself to the training itself. The first thing I want to do when I start is to always get in the mirror after we've learned how to do the basic movement of whatever it is. It could be jiu-jitsu, it could be boxing, it could be Filipino Kali, it could be whatever that you're into, MMA or whatever. You have to be patient with yourself. And one of the most important things about being patient is that we have to be able to isolate a movement and get in either in front of the mirror or with your partner. Okay, usually a lot of the exercise or things that you want to do when you first learn what we call body mechanics is we get in front of the mirror and we make sure that the movements are being done properly. Okay, that is a key element to it. And being patient and going nice and slow, whatever that movement is, taking your time to learn that movement, the details of that movement, and getting lots and lots of repetitions into the movement. That is a way that you solidify it, because we want to think about muscle memory. We want to think about placement of the body, the structure, whatever it is that you're practicing. Okay, so if I'm doing, for instance, a jab, I want to make sure that my elbows are in. I want to make sure my hands are up whatever style or system you're using, that it's in the right place. Okay, that when you throw that jab, it's in the right place. Where we stand, how we stand is going to be in the right place. All those things play a part in the martial arts. I find that when I train people, I find that they are in a rush a lot of times. And with martial arts, we have to learn how to get in the now and be able to feel and experience what we're having, what we're doing, okay? And through that, we're able to move and use the structure to help us get better, okay? And so getting in front of the mirror, making sure everything looks good, and then practicing that movement over and over and over again. If it's jiu-jitsu, getting with a partner and doing that same movement and making sure everything is the right way, your base is the correct way, whatever it is. If it's stick work or you're working with a sword or a knife, you're making sure that those lines are nice and perfect, okay, before you start to speed up. And if you don't get it right away, take a deep breath and you just keep going. And so it's very important that we have to be patient first with ourselves. Then when we talk about partners, when somebody else you're training with, if they're not quite getting it, you have to remember that you were there once. So if you're a training partner and maybe somebody is new, or maybe it's just like somebody keeps getting it and you're, instead of getting impatient and getting frustrated with that person, part of your frustration can prevent them from being able to progress and get better, okay? And so always thinking not just from your own perspective of, I want to get this done, and instead, you need to take a deep breath and think about things from other people's perspective, okay? That is very important. Now, so that was the second perspective. So we have first perspective, which is you and you training. The number two is second perspective. So when we're training and we're working with somebody else and they are the ones struggling with something, to have that patience. And then finally, the third perspective is just like the third point of view, as if you are an instructor or as if you are somebody watching something take place and you're watching two individuals training, okay? or you're like you said, an instructor, or you could be somebody watching a fight. Being able to learn how to have the patience, and instead of going, oh, they should have done this and oh, should have done that, sometimes it's important for you to be able to see things from their perspective. Okay, to me it's so funny, and it's so, people really don't understand. Like, for instance, if we watch a UFC fight or some mixed martial art fight or a boxing match, you'll hear people say all these things. Oh, I would have done this. Oh, I would have done that. Would you have, if you were under that level of pressure? Somebody's really trying to knock your head off, or the lights are coming down on you and the spectators are loud and So in the martial arts, I'm coming from you from a martial artist perspective. And what do I mean by that? The old Bushido way of thinking, the old way of thinking of self-growth, bettering ourselves, instead of always trying to be judgmental, always trying to be point out things. Okay, try to also see things from other people's perspective. Why? Because when we grow, okay, we have to be able to have compassion for other people. We have to have this personal integrity. Okay, it's not always about competition. It's not always. Why do we have those behaviors? Why do we think that way? Why are we judging other people all the time? The reason why you judge other people is for your own safety. Okay, this may be a thing that you may not have heard before. But when you look at somebody, you judge them, and as soon as you see something, you go, oh, that's not going to work, or oh, this is going to. Instead, look at that situation and try to understand it, okay? Whatever that situation is. Because what's happening is we're using our own self-preservation, okay? Because if something we don't understand, or when we naturally reject it, that means that we don't have the perspective, okay? And it scares us. You may want to say it doesn't, but it does. Because unless you've trained that and you go, well, now that doesn't work, okay, I respect that you're doing that. And that's the difference, because when we respect other people and what they do, that's a different story. So when we're an instructor, now from the instructor's point of view, when we're working with students, I've heard terrible stories about how instructors treat some students when they don't get things, when they don't pick up things quick enough in their mind. We have to, as instructors, be patient and allow that person to blossom and flow and learn on their own. You have to take responsibility for the fact that they're not picking up. Maybe you're not teaching them in one of the 7 ways to learn, okay? And so we have to learn and figure out how they learn. We have to help guide that student so that they can figure out how to learn. And if they haven't learned how to learn their own way of learning, we have to help them and guide them to do so. Because true knowledge is self-knowledge. In other words, an instructor is not a teacher necessarily. They're a guide. Truly, a student, when they are learning something, they actually are teaching themselves. You are there to guide them down that path and help them to figure out how they're going to learn it and how they're going to blossom and grow. So those are the 3 perspectives of being patient and learning how, in the martial arts, how to treat others, treat ourselves, okay, and treat our students, and think of perspective of what are they really going through. If, for instance, if it's a fight, 2 people are fighting each other, and they're in a ring and there's lights beaming down and it's loud and all these other things, all this pressure. We have to have some compassion for those individuals, okay? Instead of being judgmental and pointing the finger, we have to look within inside. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Panantukan, Level 1. This program is one of the most streamlined. It's over 8.5 hours long. It gives you everything step by step, everything that you need. Fundamentals breakdown of all the exercises you need. Understanding of empty hand, how to fight without gloves, with gloves. It's going to teach you all the aspects that you need about the foundation and fundamentals of Panantukan. Okay? Unlike what we see a lot of times now in the combatives in the Filipino martial arts world, a lot of techniques, a lot of drills, but how do you make those drills go from the drill to actual real combatives? And that's what this program, this is the first level to that, and getting you set up, learning all the aspects of how do I engage, what's the techniques, what do I need to practice to get myself where I'm able to be adaptable in combat. Okay, that's the most important thing. That's what everybody's looking for. How do I get better? How am I able to adapt when somebody attacks me? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? What I'm going to do is I'm giving you a different perspective on Panantukan, unlike what you see in this modern day where you see a lot of drills and exercises that just don't translate to real combat. I call the meat and potatoes of combat. Not the fluff, not all the extra stuff, but only simply the things that you really need that are going to help you be effective in combat. But the most important thing in combat is to survive. The most important thing is to be able to adapt, okay? And so that's what this program is all about. This is going to help you go to that next level. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner or you've been doing this for 10 years. I'm going to help fill in those gaps, fill in those holes that you've never learned before. Go to our website, pinnaclecombatarts.com. There you can find out more about what I do and the classes that I provide. Thank you guys so much for your support and have a great day.